Very pleased to be sitting up here with Alistair to announce that Cricket Australia and the ACA have arrived at in-principle agreement for the heads of agreement as a basis for the next MOU. The key issues that underpin the heads of agreement have been the subject of intensive discussions and negotiations over the course of the last week. The heads of agreement will restore much needed certainty to the game of cricket. It will allow all players, state and international players, to be contracted immediately, and it will also allow the all-important tour of Bangladesh to proceed as planned. Today's agreement is the result of a sensible compromise from both parties. From Cricket Australia's point of view, we needed to modernise the pay model to provide us with more flexibility to deal with issues facing the game as they come up from time to time. And in this regard, the underfunding of grassroots cricket and junior cricket is our highest strategic priority. We also wanted to make sure that payments to all male players increased, and particularly at international level, to ensure that our Australian players are paid at the highest level of all team sports people in Australia. We also wanted to introduce a gender equity pay model for women's cricketers so that they can also pursue a career in cricket. And we're absolutely delighted, and I'm sure I can speak for Alistair in saying that the ACA and Cricket Australia are delighted to be genuine market leaders in Australian sport in this regard. Change is never easy, but sometimes it's necessary, and as custodian of the game, Cricket Australia is responsible to seek change wherever it's needed, rather than just putting issues into the too hard basket. This process hasn't been easy, and history will judge whether it was all worth it in the end. Neither side has got everything that we wanted out of these negotiations, but they shouldn't be approached with a winner-takes-all mindset. Enduring outcomes depend on the needs of both parties being recognised in the negotiations and in the outcome. And in that spirit, I think we've reached a good compromise, one we can both live with, and one that will be good for the game and good for Australia's cricketers. There's no denying that the debate itself has at times been difficult and even acrimonious. Relationships within the game have been tested, and I know that's been a bit of a turn-off for some fans. I think I can speak for Alistair when I say that both parties very much acknowledge and regret that, and now it's very much up to us to put that behind us. In announcing this agreement, we're restoring certainty and beginning to repair relationships, especially with the fans. We want the focus to be back on the cricket. We've got a huge summer of cricket to look forward to, and including, of course, Ashes cricket for both our men and women. I'm very confident, but by the time the first ball's bowled this summer, all of this will be well and truly behind us.
The executive of the ACA will recommend to Australia's male and female cricketers to accept a renewed MOU secured under an in-principle heads of agreement between CA and ACA, as James has just pointed out. Players will now consider this recommendation into this agreement, and we recommend that it will be supported. We'll conduct a player vote in the next 24 hours to follow past precedent, but we expect that to come back positive. After the 10-month negotiation, the ACA and Cricket Australia have agreed to the MOU with the summary of these parts. 5-year term, one agreement for all male and female players for the first time in Australian cricket, a revenue sharing model ensuring all players, male and female, are partners in the game of cricket, a gender equity pay model with the biggest pay rise in the history of women's sport in Australia. The revenue sharing model in which the players will share up to 30% of agreed revenue, consisting of 27.5% of forecast revenue streams and a 2.5% performance pool. This is estimated to be up to $500 million in the next 5-year period. For any over revenue forecast, the maintenance of the adjustment ledger will continue, but all female and male domestic and international players will share in this revenue. An amount of approximately $25 million will flow directly to grassroots investment from this fund if forecasts are achieved. The fund will be administered by a committee that will involve equal participation by CA and ACA and aligned to the game development strategies for the next 5 years. The ACA will also maintain the Cricketers brand for some commercial activities, but we have signed over those majority of those rights in this agreement. Players will have some greater say in scheduling through a standing advisory board, and then there will be improved retirement fund. Finally, all uncontracted players on the signing of the full MOU, which will continue to be negotiated for the next 4 to 6 weeks, will then receive back pay once that's resolved. The resolve was very strong in the play group, and whilst they're now keen to get into camp and continue to play for Australia, the partnership and the revenue sharing model were very important to them, and so the resolve through the whole process was very strong. So it's good we can come to an agreement. Well, I think it's an important thing for the game, and I do believe that the players have said they wanted to maintain a partnership and a revenue share, but also give back to the game in grassroots. So I think it's a good agreement to go forward. As James mentioned, there's need for compromise in certain areas, and I think that's important. And now we have an agreement to go forward on.
Oh, look, I think at some stage, Alistair may have his own views on that, but I think for all of us, perhaps the dawning reality of an international tour coming up and the importance of that meant that we all needed to somehow focus our energies into trying to get a deal done. And I think the spirit has been willing over the course of the last week, but at the same time, there's been really strong intent from both sides to find a way through. Let me say, we never set about to destroy the revenue share model. If you read our proposal of the 31st of March, we talked about modifying the revenue share model to respect the players' interest in that and to arrive at an outcome where we have a modernised model that allows us to administer the game, to give us flexibility at an affordable level so that we can invest back into the game. As I said at the outset, I think this model involves compromise from both sides. Certainly we have a significant strategic priority about greater investment in grassroots cricket and the facilities around that, and particularly supporting junior cricket, and that's certainly a win for the game and an opportunity for greater investment, which we want to acknowledge.
Can you